Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, March 30th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. More than 700 migrant children are now at the San Diego Convention Center, and that includes 70 who have tested positive for COVID-19. Joe Hung explains the steps being taken to keep everyone safe at the temporary shelter.
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services said the 70 migrant youth who tested positive are all asymptomatic and have been quarantined on a separate floor from all the other inhabitants at the San Diego Convention Center. Acting Regional Director of the department says all of the migrant teens at the temporary shelter will be tested every 3 days. Those who test positive will be placed on a separate floor. A spokeswoman for the San Diego County Office of Education said the county will move forward with providing educational services. Republican Congressman Darrell Issa, whose district includes parts of Northeast San Diego County and parts of Riverside County, criticized San Diego County for offering the services to migrant students while failing to return local students to in-person instruction. The San Diego County Office of Education issued the following statement in response. All children in California, regardless of immigration status, have a constitutional right to education. We also have a moral obligation to address the needs of our most vulnerable children. The San Diego County Office of Education is operating the educational program at the convention center with SDCOE employees who have volunteered to be placed at that site. SDCOE does not have any authority over the reopening of school campuses. Each of the 42 districts and more than 300 charter and private schools in our county is responsible for developing and implementing its own reopening plan. Many campuses have already reopened and more are expected to open after spring break. The instruction for the migrant students is set to start on Wednesday. Joe Hong, KPBS News.
Customs and Border Protection is adding more personnel to the southern border. About 300 agents are among a group reassigned. They were working in the coastal regions and northern border. The federal government says it's being done to address an increase in border crossings, with about 100,000 reported just last month. LA and Orange counties moved into the less restrictive orange tier today. San Diego isn't there just yet, but our COVID numbers remain low compared to the most recent spike. The change in status for both counties to our north means businesses can increase their indoor capacity. But this afternoon, LA County officials said they would wait until April 5th to do so. Ventura, San Bernardino, Riverside, Imperial, and San Diego counties remain in the red tier for at least one more week. And a reminder for those of you in North County or anyone who booked a vaccine appointment at the Del Mar Fairgrounds Superstation, it will be closed tomorrow and this weekend, April 3rd and 4th. Scripps Health is running the site and says it simply didn't get enough supply this week. Those with appointments will be automatically rescheduled by the state's My Turn website. Golden Hall in downtown San Diego is once again welcoming San Diegans experiencing homelessness. This morning, Mayor Todd Gloria got a look around the upper level that will now house families, children, and young adults aged 18 to 24. Adult men started moving into the lower level of Golden Hall last week. Many of the people at the facility were previously housed at the convention center. Mayor Gloria says Golden Hall is part of the city's holistic approach to ending homelessness.
That means leading with compassion and engaging on prevention, using good data to make our decisions, and making sure that we implement the plans that we have, with everything pointing towards connecting people to housing.
The Golden Hall operation is being run by Father Joe's Villages. In addition to being a place to sleep, the facility also offers meals, showers, job training, substance abuse counseling, and help with finding permanent housing. Feeding San Diego is going on tour, taking its large-scale food distributions around the county. The first stop, Chula Vista. KPBS reporter Melissa May has the story.
Feeding San Diego has already helped more than 20,000 San Diegans. Today, volunteers were ready to help approximately 1,400 South Bay households with nutritious food during their contactless drive-through food distribution at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater.
It's very important. A lot of people are facing hunger for the first time due to the pandemic. So Feeding San Diego being here to help provide anything we can do to help support the community, that's what we're here for.
They're calling this the Together Tour. Today, about 30 volunteers help to load up to 50 pounds of food per car. Sam Duke is the volunteer programs manager for Feeding San Diego.
So people will expect to receive about 25 pounds of dry goods. We have 15 pounds of produce, and then they're also going to receive a frozen protein.
While Feeding San Diego volunteers are setting up for their large-scale distribution here in South Bay, people are already lining up 2 hours early to get their share.
Since my granddaughter and her 3 kids moved in with me, I'm here probably more for the children.
Jim didn't want us to use his last name, but he was grateful for the help.
To all the people that are volunteering their time and their resources, and to the food bank, thank you so much. It means the world to a lot of people out there.
The Together Tour's next distribution will be on Wednesday, April 7th at Pechanga Arena from 10 a.m. to noon. Melissa May, KPBS News.
And we are seeing a high demand for food assistance during the pandemic. When it comes to getting CalFresh benefits, applicants need to jump through a lot of hoops. Coming up, KPBS investigates why most of those who lost their benefits were actually still eligible. It is day 2 in the murder trial of a Minneapolis police officer accused of murdering George Floyd. On the first full day of testimony, the jury is hearing from witnesses. Camila Bernal is following the trial and has your update.
I believe I witnessed a murder. I felt the need to call the police.
That's what Tuesday's first witness, Donald Williams, a professional mixed martial arts fighter, said in court when asked why he called 911 after witnessing the last moments between former officer Derek Chauvin and George Floyd last May. Then a tense back and forth during the defense's cross-examination, attorney Eric Nelson repeatedly asking Williams if he became angry on scene.
You called him bogus.
I did.
You called him a bum at least 13 times.
That's what you counted in the video?
That's what I counted.
And that's what you got, 13. I was arrested.
Williams, who also works security, insisted he was controlled and professional the entire time. The next witness, a minor at the time, who did not testify on camera and was identified as DF in court documents, told the jury why she decided to pull out her phone and record what was happening outside Cup Foods.
It wasn't right. He was suffering. He was in pain.
She ended by telling the jury she still wishes she had done more to stop Chauvin.
It's like, it's not what I should have done. It's what he should have done.
Camila Bernal, KPBS News.
And this next story includes some disturbing video. It's the latest violent attack on an older Asian American getting national attention.
I'm very frustrated by these attacks. It's horrible. It's disgusting to see people, put into such a horrible situation, the fear that's been created.
That's New York's mayor reacting to this violent attack on a 65-year-old woman in Manhattan. The woman was knocked down and then kicked repeatedly. Security guards in a nearby building not only did not help her, they actually closed the door on her. Police are still searching for the attacker. This is the latest in a string of hate crimes across the country targeting people of Asian descent. The Department of Justice is ordering a 30-day review on how to improve its response to these incidents. 2 elderly Asian men in the Bay Area say they were targets of racism when their cars were set on fire. They say their community has seen an increase in hate incidents since the outbreak of the coronavirus. More now from reporter Dion Lim.
This is the sight 2 seniors woke up to around 3:30 on Saturday morning. This must have been so scary for you.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Raging flames, 2 cars set ablaze. Mr. Chang, who only wants to use his last name, owns one of them, the other belonging to his neighbor, who doesn't want to be identified. Both vehicles charred to a crisp.
Yeah, I used only 2 years. The mileage only low one, like 7,000 only, but now it's gone.
at a time when so many Asian Americans are feeling under attack. Mr. Cheng, who is Cambodian, and his neighbor Chinese can't help but feel like they were targeted. He says there are only 2 homes owned by Asians along this road, the rest Latino. Abby Santos lives across the street and says this was too close for comfort.
I'm scared, yeah, because, you know, we have kids. Yeah. It would
have been really bad.
Really bad, yeah. Wow. And explosions on all the streets.
I asked Oakland Fire, who responded Saturday, if they think the fires were suspicious. Just over a week ago, I reported on an Asian man with disabilities who had his vehicle set ablaze in Redwood City. Oakland Fire doesn't currently have any evidence to confirm there was foul play. As for Mr. Cheng, who is an immigrant, the past year has already been so hard.
I lose everything, lose a job, and then lose a car. I need to coming back for my life.
He sends this message to anyone who is listening to his story on behalf of all Asian Americans.
We want peace right now, peace, please. We just not do anything wrong to people. We want peace to live in the United States.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, emotional testimony from witnesses to George Floyd's death in the Chauvin trial. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Strong gusty winds with us tonight into Wednesday with our Santa Ana flow. And with the stronger winds and the offshore flow, the coast will be very warm and dry next couple of days, and it gets a little cooler later in the weekend, just some gradual cooling. Inland sections like the deserts will see the warmer weather in the latter part of the weekend. We're also watching a weak system coming through Thursday, and there's a slight chance for a sprinkle or thunder shower in some of the mountains, but that's a long shot. Most areas staying dry. Here's our wind advisories. They continue through mid-afternoon hours on Wednesday, then the winds gradually diminishing. Here's our temperatures tonight: 44 Oceanside and San Diego, 53. Ramona's down to 50, and El Cajon 49. During the day Wednesday, well, we're dry and should be warm right near the coast. Interior sections not feeling the warmth quite yet. Borrego Springs goes up to 84. El Cajon is 89. Escondido is 85, and it's 81. San Diego and Oceanside. So you see it's going to be a warm day. Thursday, well, the heat peaks, and then it starts to spread its way into the inland areas, and the deserts will be warmest here, I would think, Friday into the weekend, while the gradual cooling comes towards the coast. So here's our extended forecast. Very warm the next couple of days with sunshine, and then you see the gradual cooling later in the week. Interior sections, oh, look at that, 91 on Thursday, and then the temperature is backing off a little bit. And as we head into the mountains, keep in mind there's that stray chance for a shower or thunder shower, and then the temperature is holding in the upper 50s, and the deserts, well, you can see the temperatures ramping up Friday into the weekend, getting hot in the mid-90s. And for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
3 people were charged today with allegedly scamming the state's unemployment system out of $1.3 million in illegal payments. DA Summer Stephan says Ryan Kubista, Marshall Marquez, and Stacy Wright applied for EDD cards using other people's names. Investigators say they used the personal information of at least 64 prison inmates who are not eligible to receive the benefits. If convicted of all the charges, each individual faces 3 to 12 years in prison. Nearly 1,300 households in the county were denied rent relief last fall because their landlords refused the money or missed deadlines. iNews Source investigative reporter Cody Delaney says a new state law aims to change that.
Over $200 million in new money is being poured into San Diego County for rent relief. This time, the rules are different. If landlords refuse to take 80% of the back rent that's owed to them, they'll only get 25%. Advocates for rental property owners told iNews Source they expect landlords will be happy to collect 80% of the rent that's owed to them, though some may still reject the money because they want the full amount. We recently spoke with Imperial Beach renter Patty Mendoza as she fixed breakfast with her 2 children. She's behind on her rent and has applied for the county's program, but her landlord has already told her she has to leave her apartment by April 10th.
Where am I going to go? Where? Nobody's going to rent to me. Where are my children going to sleep at night? That's the only thing that I think of. Where are my children going to sleep at night?
Mendoza was laid off from her non-emergency medical transport job last April. She's looked for work, but still hasn't found anything. For now, she advocates for other renters as part of a San Diego nonprofit.
I'm just an ordinary mom, but even ordinary moms wear capes, and I feel that if I can help somebody else and if I can teach somebody else how to protect themselves, I'm going to do it.
Under the new law, eligible tenants are protected from eviction until July. For KPBS, I'm iNewsSource investigative reporter Cody Dulaney.
iNewsSource is an independently funded nonprofit news partner of KPBS. More COVID relief money is on its way. The federal government is working on getting payments to Social Security recipients by April 7th, but it could come as early as this weekend. The money will be sent electronically and dispersed by direct deposit or existing Direct Express cards. Recipients could receive up to $1,400 as part of the recently passed American Rescue Plan. Thousands of people across our county get CalFresh, commonly known as food stamps, to help them buy food. But KPBS investigative reporter Claire Tregesser found out the program regularly pushes out people who are still eligible for the help.
Pescado. Fish, well, salmon, which is at times very expensive.
Maria Gonzalez de Ochoa stands outside her El Cajon apartment and talks about what she likes to buy with her CalFresh food stamps.
El salmon. Salmon, fresh chicken, the green organic kind. We like the good stuff when it is available.
The 74-year-old house cleaner finally got on the program in 2019.
It took them a while to reply, but blessed be God, they did accept me. But I only lasted a mere 2 months.
Within a matter of months, her elation had turned to disappointment. Gonzalez de Ochoa was told her benefits had stopped because a report was missing. However, she says that's not right.
I called and asked them if they had received it, and they said yes. But towards the end of December, I called them, and they said that it had been suspended due to that paper.
Right now, under the CalFresh program, which distributes food stamps paid for by the federal government, an individual will receive $234 a month, a temporary increase due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But this money comes with a number of strings attached. Every 6 months, recipients have to provide written proof of any and all changes to their employment status, family size, and living arrangements. They also have to submit to an interview, either in person or on the phone. If any of these steps are missed, the money stops.
Households are 6 times more likely to leave the program in these months in which they have to jump through one of these paperwork hoops.
Matt Unrath, a research fellow at UC Berkeley's California Policy Lab, says the complicated process regularly drives out CalFresh recipients who are still eligible for the program. In San Diego County and across the state, between half and 3/4 of the recipients who left the program were still eligible for the benefits, according to the study.
We think that this has to do with understaffing and a lack of training.
Anahid Braki is CEO of the San Diego Hunger Coalition, a nonprofit that helps people apply for CalFresh. She says there needs to be more county funding for caseworkers and call center operators who help people get their benefits.
We will see whether it's been just a lack of funding that has contributed to that or not, now that we've got more political will to make these things happen. But what we're seeing is a little bit too much comfort with how much people suffer trying to go through the process.
San Diego County is doing what it can to help recipients, says Rick Wayne, the county's director for self-sufficiency programs.
We do send it to them by mail with instructions on how to complete it and where to send it back. We include an envelope with free postage on it. We also send all of our customers a text message reminder when their report is due. That message also has a link where the customer can actually complete it electronically.
But he says some people stop their benefits while they're still eligible because of, quote, individual choice. There have been some temporary changes to the program during COVID-19. For 6 months, no forms were required, and the interview requirement has been suspended, but will likely return in July. Also next year, households with only elderly or disabled individuals who have no earned income will not have to submit forms. But Unrath, the co-author of the Berkeley study, wants more. He says all recipients should only file paperwork once a year.
It's going to be cheaper for government because you don't actually have to administer these recertifications as frequently, and it saves households a lot of time and stress. And for the most part, that type of reform would more likely benefit a bunch of eligible households than allow ineligible households to remain enrolled.
But that would take an act of Congress. Claire Tregasser, KPBS News.
One of Southern California's major theme parks will reopen soon. Universal Studios says it will welcome guests April 16th. In the early going, only California residents will be allowed. The theme park will limit capacity and some rides will not be available due to COVID-19 restrictions. Fuel efficiency over time efficiency. Google Maps will no longer default to get you to where you need to be the fastest way possible anymore. The company says the navigation algorithm will soon automatically take you the most fuel-efficient way instead. Things like inclines and traffic will be considered in creating the route. To reduce environmental impact, the app will allow you to choose from route options. The change is expected later this year. County health officials want to remind people to keep practicing social distancing, especially when at a crowded spring break event. In fact, many states are seeing an uptick in COVID cases as more people get back to traveling. Joy Benedict reports.
It was hard to socially distance in a crowded Terminal 7 as the lines for baggage check and TSA were both so long. They blended together.
Step right up. May I have you, please?
Travelers packed LAX wanting to be the next in line to head out of town.
We're going to Breckenridge to go snowboarding for a week. Walt Disney World.
And it's not just here. For 17 days in a row, TSA has screened more than 1 million passengers a day nationwide. It's the longest streak of 1 million plus passengers since the pandemic began. The holiday streak was only 5 days long, but those ready to board weren't surprised by the crowds.
We're just very anxious, and we packed about a month ago. No, I'm just kidding.
The reason?
Struggled.
Pandemic fatigue.
We needed to get our daughter out of the house. She's been stuck at home for so long, feeling absolutely miserable.
We were isolating, yes, we were isolating and not having family gatherings, and we're a large family.
So now the Wright family from Bakersfield is heading to Disney World, and this grandma is traveling with the confidence that only comes from a shot.
I have both of my vaccines in, so I'm not really worried.
But health officials are. The CDC reports that 92 million Americans have received 1 dose, but only 15% of our population is fully vaccinated. And the fear is all this travel could increase the spread.
Personally, I'm not worried about it. I know some people are, but we're excited to, get back to normal, hopefully, and with vaccinations, that'll be sooner than later.
A sentiment packed in every rolling bag, as these travelers want not only a break for spring, but from a pandemic that has taken so much.
It's time to go places.
That was Joy Benedict reporting. The director of the CDC is also urging everyone to continue to play it safe despite the increase in vaccinations. You won't find many music stores these days, but one on the Sunset Strip has outlasted the shift to streaming and now a pandemic. Rick Damagella tells us how Amoeba music will soon have a new home.
In March 2020, as the pandemic lockdown went into effect, one of the world's largest independent music stores found itself closing down earlier than expected.
We had a lease, and our lease was coming to a close.
We were in a pretty unsustainable situation financially in the other spot, so we had been looking for a place where we could kind of take the show on the road and recreate the magic.
Amoeba Music planned to leave its Sunset Boulevard address to move to a brand new location in the neighborhood.
The only bummer was that when the COVID situation came to the front, it removed our ability to continue to stay open safely and to kind of give that store the send-off that it deserved. And, so we were all a little bit heartbroken about that.
While the new Amoeba doesn't have an upstairs section, it does have everything longtime fans expect.
We're still carrying everything that we had carried before, so we're more than just a record store with music and movies, and then you get into posters, T-shirts, games, toys, lunchboxes, prayer candles, you name it. We'll be enforcing, masks and social distancing and doing everything that we need to do to make sure that it's a safe spot for our customers and our staff. Hopefully it's, again, a very familiar experience for people. I mean, they still feel connected to this, great new space as they did with the old one.
Ready to dig through the vinyl bins in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. And a reminder, tomorrow is the statewide Cesar Chavez Day holiday, and that means many state and local government offices will be closed. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.